today we're going to talk about education. I've got 4 people joining me today. We have Pat Hamilton, the principal at ODSS. I have Alexandra White, who is an elementary school teacher at Princess Elizabeth. I have Joe Andrews, who is a counselor, of course, and also the principal of Humber College, Orangeville. And we have Counselor Lisa Post, who is deeply engaged in post-secondary education at the moment as a student. So welcome, everybody. So I'm wondering if we can start off with Lisa. Maybe you can give us an update on what's going on in your life, how your family's coping, and personally, and then wondering about your finishing off of your first year as a post-secondary student and how that all went, and how you got it all completed with COVID interrupting things.
For sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here today. It's great to see everybody, albeit virtually. It's definitely been interesting. I've got my family safe and healthy, which is awesome. We've got a pretty packed full house. My 20-year-old son is home from military basic training because they've closed his base. And I've got my 14-year-old daughter in grade 9 at home with me as well. So we've got a pretty busy household, but everybody's safe and healthy, which is awesome. So we're coping with education in a couple different ways here. So my son is trying to get through some of his basic training. They're doing some work online. He's got to write an essay this week and some other stuff just to keep them learning. My daughter, of course, is in grade 9. So that's been a lot of fun trying to navigate the new e-learning. I have to give kudos to the teachers out there. She attends Westside Secondary School, and they've done a phenomenal job of getting all of her necessary stuff online, which has been fantastic. For me, I'm just finishing up my first year of college at Humber College. I normally attend down at Lakeshore campus. I'm doing my Bachelor of Community Development, and I'm just finishing up my first year. So on Thursday, I happily finished my last final exam of my first year, which was awesome. Again, a great team at Humber just made sure that it was pretty seamless in the transition to the online learning. For me, I was already doing one class online, so I was kind of already used to how that online portion of Blackboard worked. But my professors jumped right in, and I don't feel like I missed anything, although I missed a lot of the camaraderie that I was getting in the classroom and working with some of my fellow students. I was able to accomplish everything and get it all done. And it was a little different than I hoped it to be, but here we are and it's done. And hoping that next year we can head back into a classroom because I do miss that piece as well.
Right. Awesome. So you've completed your first year now. Is that right?
Yes. Hallelujah. First year's done. First of 4.
That's great. And when do you pick it up again? I guess not till September. Is that right?
Not till September. I was never doing a summer semester, so I'll be back in September. So just waiting for Humber's announcements to see how they feel that's going to go as everything with COVID-19 progresses. And I'm hopeful that we'll be back in the classroom by then. But if not, that's okay too. They've done a really great job making sure that everything was accessible online. So.
Right. Okay. So Alex, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So what I'm first of all, I wanted to say I wanted to make comment on the terrible tragedy that happened out in Nova Scotia over the last 24 hours, and I know one of the victims was an elementary school teacher, so I want to just a terrible thing that's happened out there, and all of our thoughts and prayers are with the families that have been affected and that elementary school teacher that we are now aware of. So anyway, this country didn't need this on top of the COVID problem that we've got going on right now, and I guess we'll hear the details of that as they are unraveled over the next few days. Anyway, Alex, so you're an elementary school teacher at Princess Elizabeth. How long have you been there now?
About 12 years now.
Very good. And now, what grade are you teaching again, Alex?
I teach grade 1 French immersion.
Right. And are at that age, are the children allowed, are they connecting with you online? Are you doing some e-learning with them now, virtual learning at all?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. And how do you connect? What's the platform that you get together with the kids on?
So the learning at home or distance learning in elementary is done in a Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a board-approved green tool, which means it's safe for both teachers and students to use. Now, other boards are using a variety of platforms, which can be frustrating because it might give parents the impression that teachers are giving students different levels of support. So we're not seeing that consistency across the province, unfortunately. Some boards are doing face-to-face video chatting. We're not allowed to do that. So we're sort of providing a week's worth of math and literacy opportunities that go with the Ontario curriculum. And we provide that for the full week on Monday morning to allow for flexibility for the families with their schedules, because we have different needs at different homes, parents working from home, limited internet access, maybe multiple children in the household needing access to the devices.
Right.
So we have to keep all those challenges in mind.
Right. So do all of your students have electronic devices that they can connect with?
Oh, yes. As of now, my class does. The school was able to provide families that did not have devices already. So they gave them devices from the school. We did connect with all families prior to the launch on April the 6th, and just to make sure, check in with internet needs and make sure everyone has devices.
Wow, fantastic. Okay. And what about, how's your family coping with all of this? I know you've got some young children yourself, and how are you keeping them busy? I guess they're obviously doing e-learning with their teachers.
Yes, so it's scheduling basically. So I have 14 now, 14, 12, 10, and 9-year-olds. So it's 4 different classrooms. So just juggling, putting them on the device in time slots, and then having time for my own classroom as well. So it's busy, but it's manageable.
Very good. Very good. So Joe, let's go over to you for a minute. You've been really, as an administrator for a post-secondary institution, you've been deep into this for a number of weeks now. And what are some of the successes and some of the challenges that you've encountered so far?
Well, Sandy, thank you very much for inviting me and also the other participants in the education world. And of course, thank you for the endorsement, Lisa, for, of course, your online successes and also on-site successes too. It has been a challenge, Sandy, and I think the one thing that has been really rewarding is the preparedness of the institution. In fact, I was on a conference call literally just before this one, and I have to return back to it from an administrative point of view. I'm so pleased to see how Humber and the other institutions post-secondary at the college and university level across the province have been able to support their students. And I think one of the biggest challenge, of course, is not only the students who have the resources, but of course, how to support the students that don't. And Alex, of course, was talking about how the Upper Grand District School Board was gracious in providing devices for students. And I know that Pat, who will also be joining us too, the number of Chromebooks, I guess, have been distributed. In our particular system, it's been a little different. And it has also been challenging primarily because of the connectivity issues. When you have rural-based students, and especially from an Orangeville campus perspective, we support a significant number of rural-based students. And I think what has been rewarding is the process of flexibility that has been, in fact, provided by faculty. We do have specific learning outcomes that are found in all of our academic disciplines in each one of the courses. And the faculty have really stepped up. Not only, of course, are they putting material online, they had to do this literally in a week. And not to say that they weren't prepared, because many faculty were, in fact, using a system called Blackboard, which communicated directly to students. And again, Alex would know, Pat would know, and Lisa certainly has been familiar with this. Many of the educators use a variety of different platforms, but in the end, it's the ability to communicate fluidly to the students. And what has been rewarding is that the winter term has just ended. We are, in fact, looking at supporting some students who weren't able to complete everything. So an extension to the semester, not necessarily from an academic learning perspective, but testing is also taking place this week virtually. Proctored exams are also being supported. One thing that has come up, Sandy, that has been very important, and one of the comments that came from our Dean of Student Services this morning in a previous conversation, is in fact the number of mental health issues that have popped up. And it does vary from student to student. It's, as Alex talked about, the flexibility and the juggling act that many of us are having to deal with while working at home with our families and other maybe external issues that have shown up. but it's also the ability of the students who are looking for an environment that they feel comfortable in learning in. And that is, again, has been a challenge where our report back to the Dean of Student Services has indicated some challenges there. So the institution, and I think all of the institutions, have really stepped up their game to support the students. Now, the other point that I think you wanted to have us share is a little bit of how the family's coping. It's interesting that I have a son that's 18 who's in grade 12, finishing up at ODSS final semester. And of course, making decisions on where he's going to go in September, be that at university or college. And the colleges have a May 1st deadline. The universities have a June 1st deadline. Some of that may be extended, but what has been also rewarding is to hear and see how the faculty have stepped up at ODSS and same at Westside to support the students virtually. They are, in fact, as Alec has indicated, they're providing I guess an academic plan at the beginning of the week, and the expectation is to complete specific tasks or assignments. In grade 12, the compulsory piece was in fact midterm grades, which had to be submitted. And again, the expectation from the universities and colleges was to have that. One other piece I wanted to share, which we're also very proud of, is our dual credit program, which is a high school integration program that Humber and many of the institutions, college institutions across the province are involved with. We continue this particular program right through until the beginning of June. So we have a number of students that are from Westside, also OD, as well as from the region too, as far away as Palmerston, as well as Mount Forest. So these students are in fact completing some studies, full day studies in police foundations and also spa and cosmetics. They're doing this virtually. Normally we would be doing a simulation lab for our police students, or even the spa cosmetics. The cosmetic students are also having to do a YouTube virtual cosmetic application. They have to hand it to their faculty member. So it's adaptation, it's modification, but what's also, I think, intriguing is how prepared some of the students are in utilizing the tools that they've been given. So they're quite familiar using their phones and, Snapchatting and all the other social media pieces, but now they're using these devices to help them to pursue and complete their academic activities.
Right. Wonderful, Joe. Well, thank you. And again, on the family front, everybody's well.
Yeah, we're doing fine. I think the hibernation is, I have, an insistence, at least myself, going outside to get some fresh air, even if it happens to be on the deck. If there's an opportunity to just go out on the sidewalk, or even go into the garage to do something. Especially this time of the year when the weather's nice, we need to have some fresh air. I have some, elderly family members who are in long-term care facilities, and of course, we're monitoring some of those things that many of us are now aware of from the COVID activity. The issue of spreading, and we've had some issues that have come up that we're certainly concerned about. But everyone else, at least in this household, are doing just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure that seniors residences and long-term care facilities are going to be instituting new protocols in terms of hygiene and how one enters those facilities because of their the vulnerable nature of the residents there. So
Right.
Thanks, Joe. So Pat, thank you for joining us today. I just wondering if you could share with us how you're coping with COVID-19, how your family's doing, and how the student and the faculty at ODSS are dealing with the e-learning and online learning that's going on now.
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, absolutely. We're adjusting like everybody else at home. Everybody's healthy, which is great. It's great to have family back in the house again, and that's some adjustment. I have two older sons. One's 25 and one's just finishing his second year at Laurier, my youngest. So he is, like Lisa was, scrambling to finish off his coursework, and Laurier's been really good about keeping access and providing lots of choice, as Joe mentioned, for kids to decide how they want to end their school year and give it the best shot. So he's doing that. My wife, who works downtown in the banking industry in downtown Toronto, is working from home now. So it's about building little office spaces, and I'm sure Alex with all her kids as well, trying to figure out good environments to work in. So we're doing that. My father's at the Avalon, and I just want to take a moment. I know you and Joe also mentioned this, but a shout out to the staff at the Avalon. My father's there. Just incredible work they're doing every day and keeping him safe and happy and healthy. Kind of doesn't know what's going on, but he is he's doing really well. So we're really grateful for the work that they're doing, and
Yes.
so we're great. And but it's a whole new world for us at OD. You know, just Alex has given us a great breakdown of how we're trying to do distance education. I would say we shipped out and continue. We're here today. I'm actually at work today. We're shipping out more Chromebooks, still more devices. And the government announced yesterday, or not yesterday, but on Friday, they announced iPad program with Rogers. And so we're waiting the details from them on how to roll that out as well. But so we've shipped out almost 100 Chromebooks to OD students. You know, not just to ones who families don't have a device, but now with all the family there and multiple children working on one device, so we're trying to alleviate that as best we can too. So if we have the technology, we're sending it out. But we also have, as Joe mentioned, the issue around rural connectivity, and so it's an issue here. So we've from the get-go, we've offered hard copy work as well. So we're also involving the bus companies. So started last week. Our bus companies are picking up work here at the school on Wednesdays and delivering it out to students who don't have the ability to connect online. And and then they go back. They go around and deliver work and pick up work and bring it back to the school here. And myself, my office coordinator, will scan that to teachers to provide feedback. So we're trying to keep kids learning as best we can. It's not the same by any stretch. We're not nearly as used to this as post-secondary is in terms of offering e-learning and that sort of stuff. So I was just saying to somebody else, I'm not a new teacher. In fact, I taught Alex, so that gives you some sense of how long I've been in this. So it's really, I'm very proud to see what a great job Alex is doing. But we're not. This is all new for us. So our staff trying to condense curriculum, making sure that they pick out the real important stuff for kids to do, while also trying to deliver it in a way that helps kids who are all at different points in their learning and require IEPs, you know, individual education plans for students with special needs, still full effect. So Alex has she's considering that with her students. We're doing the same here at OD, the best we can. It's not the same. But we're trying to meet kids where they're at. But at the end of the day, I've had this conversation a lot. Teachers are like, they're driven to help kids succeed, you know, at all levels, and telling them that at this point it's okay for it not to be the same. It's okay, you know. Teachers have stuff going on at home. Look at Alex. She's got kids she's got to get doing stuff, and you know, inevitably, unfortunately, some are going to have to deal with illness as well. So we're really trying to be conscious of the proper perspective here, but also keeping kids learning. So it's brand new for us. It's like you know, you work really hard as a new teacher, and it kind of feels like that again. I don't know if Alex, you'd agree, but it kind of feels like this is my first year as an administrator all over again. But you know what? Staff have stepped up. The community has stepped up. It's incredible to see. But that's, you know, I think that's our country, and it's not perfect, but boy, people are really stepping up. So.
Great. You know, I'm just wondering as we look through, you know, at this as it passes us, we hope in the next few weeks we're going to be starting to open things up a little bit more. But I'm wondering, you and the teachers were in some negotiations with the province. Some of the issues that were on the table were e-learning. I mean, that was being pushed back, classroom sizes, and it's, you know, what's the new reality going to be moving forward here with maybe physical distancing being part of our new reality. I hope that's not the case. I hope that there's some seriological way that we can determine if somebody's had this and that they're immune from it going forward. I don't know. It's a massive undertaking, but have you started thinking about what the new school is going to look like, and is it going to be any different than we have in previously?
Yeah, I think all of us at all the different levels, as students and as people in education, you know, you would have thought, you know, I wouldn't say the Titanic. I think we're pretty flexible in the education system, but it takes a while to move things around. But we've had drastic change in a very short period of time here, which means, and it's not all bad. And I do know that part of what's happening provincially around e-learning and all that, and I'm not sure what's going on is maybe a case for both sides. I think there is no question that teachers can be really innovative in the way they deliver curriculum, which I think if that helps us address issues like COVID or other issues around distance learning, I think that's great. But I also know when I see, and Alex will be able to speak to this, when I see that connection between a child and a teacher face to face, and a teacher's ability to assess where a kid's at, that's a hard thing to duplicate virtually. So
Right.
I'm really of two minds. I guess the answer, Sandy, I would say is, yeah, I think it's going to change because I think we've exposed a lot of things through this. But what that'll look like, I think I am not sure, to be honest.
Yeah. Alex, have you been thinking about what the new classroom might look like?
It's so hard to say. It's impossible to replicate that rich learning environment online, which poses a challenge sustaining effective distance learning long term. So hopefully, eventually, we can get into the classroom where we're hands-on, we're giving meaningful oral feedback, we're using play-based learning in early years and exploring with manipulatives without screens. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. This is not real teaching. It's depending on the teacher's ability to use technology. There are fantastic teachers out there who just are not tech savvy. So it's a huge learning curve for all of us, then parents and students included. And we just have to take one day at a time and ride the wave.
Yeah, I mean, in my notes I sent to you folks this morning, the school is somewhat of a parental placeholder during the daytime, right? So it's not just, can you deliver something e-learning? There's a physical need for parents to have their children in a safe place, and that's in school. And there's a socialization. I mean, we talked about stress and anxiety and mental issues. Without socialization, these problems will be exacerbated, right? So, we need to get back to our reality, as soon as we can. But some of our medical and health professionals are continuing to frighten us on what this is. So I hope we can get back soon. Lisa, what do you think? Where do you think we're going with this?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's something, like I said, the teachers have done such a fantastic job. I'm especially grateful, I have to say, for my daughter's grade 9 math teacher, because I am so terrible at math and I've been dreading her needing to ask me a question. But he has done such a fantastic job of putting his lectures online that she is understanding it and doing really well and getting that base mathematics information that she needs to be able to progress in the rest of her studies. But there's something so valuable about that peer-to-peer learning as well. And I know that was something for me that I really missed, being at home, finishing my first year of school, being the old lady in the classroom amongst a bunch of, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. They taught me so much about some of the topics that I was learning that we were able to really bounce some ideas off of each other and get different world perspectives. And I think that's something that even when you're looking at grade 1, grade 2, grade 5, grade 10 kids, that's something so valuable, is that everybody comes from a different place in life, and what they can learn from their fellow students is so valuable and something that can't be replaced online. So I think that's something that I know my daughter's been missing it. She's been missing that peer-to-peer contact and being able to sit down and go over math problems with her friends and work it out together and just find different ways to learn. So I think there's going to have to be some different things that are definitely taken into consideration if the e-learning is to continue. And I mean, internet connectivity being one of the main ones.
Right. Well, and the other issue that was brought up during negotiations with teachers was classroom size. And again, you only have so much real estate to work with, and if there's some distancing that's going to be required, on Friday I sat and talked with David Nair in Theatre Orangeville, and what's the theater going to look like going forward? Is this going to be every other seat get removed? I mean, I hope not. I mean, these pandemics have hit the world, throughout history, and we did get back to normal. So let's hope that that's where we're headed. But certainly gives us pause for thought on this and what the new reality is going to be. Listening to our public health officials. So anyway, we're just about out of time here. I really want to thank you. I just wanted, if you just like to go around the table and just give one final thought about education and how we're going to get through this. Joe, do you want to start?
Well, thank you again, Sandy, and thank you to Alex as well as Pat and Lisa and you. The ability for us to be resilient and adaptable is, I think, part of the new norm. We're looking at ways of providing hybrid learning. In our particular world of post-secondary education, the luxury is that we have had some advancements in the ability to deliver things online. That's not to say that connection with people is not important. In fact, we have a significant number of our learners who, in fact, require that peer-to-peer connection. And I know that even in my system, we have looked at 3 different ways that we're going to be moving forward, not only for the spring semester, but for this fall of 2020. Does it mean, smaller class sizes, or does it mean, as you were talking about the point there, Sandy, of having some, classes where students are separated by 2 meters apart, and, do we have this buffer zone? Moving forward, I think that we're going to have to end up not doing away with the in-class activity. I think that's imperative. Not everybody can learn well in an online form. We've been forced to do so. I see, again, kind of a combination of a variety of things that will end up being implemented, especially at post-secondary. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go all hands on deck with online learning. I think that there are some systems that are out there in our country that have modified and have delivered primarily for professionals that have already completed their post-secondary studies. At the elementary and secondary level, there may be options there as well to modify some of the curriculum delivery, but I still think it's imperative that we have that connection with people, because I feel that from mental health and wellness and all the other factors, it's imperative. Recess is not recess unless you have the opportunity to play with your friends. The opportunity of getting on the basketball court is not basketball unless you're actually playing a game. And at some point, I'm hoping that we can get back to some form of normalcy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Good. Alex, how about you? What are you thinking about, and what would you like to say to your students out there as well?
Well, I want to reinforce the importance of staying connected. It's a huge part of mental health. I encourage my own children at home to connect with their friends on Messenger Kids, doing FaceTime, staying social. It's a big part of children's development, interacting with their peers face to face, not just virtually, but we do our best. But we just need to make mental health a priority for sure. And parents just need to know that they just need to do their best at home. I know it can be frustrating navigating a new platform and adjusting to this new way of learning. They just have to do what they can and focus on mental health, and just knowing that we miss our students and we do miss that face-to-face interaction with them and that rich teaching and learning in person. And we're still here for our students from afar.
Hey, Pat, looks like she turned out okay. So
yeah, I
nice job.
to take some of the credit for that, but Alex was well destined for this long before she ran into me.
Yeah, well, I know she came from good stock, so that was a very important part of it. So, Pat, do you want to wrap up? And what are your
sure.
Just thoughts?
I think Alex hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, we're going to come through this. We miss our kids desperately. This is a big, empty, scary building when it's empty, and really, really does need kids and teachers. And I just like to thank all the educators, all the teachers for the incredible amount of work I know they're doing, trying to stay connected with kids, most importantly, and secondly, keeping them learning. So we'll get through it, and just want the people and kids of Orangeville to know that we're here. Just get a hold of us. Whatever they need, we'll do our best to make that happen.
Great. And Lisa, one final thought.
Just my last final thought would just be a shout out to all the teachers. Thank you for everything that you're doing. You got thrown into this without having to plan for it at all. And you've all done a spectacular job. And last thought is just to the parents at home who are trying so hard, just keep doing your best.
Right, right. And I just want to one final shout out to our healthcare workers and the doctors and the nurses and everybody that's working through this. I know that having the right protective equipment and being able to test people, I think, is a key component to us getting back to our regular lives, including going to school. So let's hope all the scientists and everybody that are working on these things can get some answers sooner than later, and we'll get back to normal soon. But thank you, 4 of you, for joining me this morning. It was a great conversation. I hope people watching at home enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing you all in person in the near future. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.